Viewers, welcome back to the Personal Injury Law Show. Before the break, we're talking with Emma Gallus-Jones from Bicycle Network Australia about cyclists. Emma, there seems to be a perception out there that the road can't cater for cyclists and motorists. What's your take on all this?
Oh, look, it definitely can. It's just all about everyone being responsible for their actions and abiding by the law. And if everyone does that, then there's going to create harmony on the road and build trust and good relationships. So it's just all about everyone being responsible and respecting each other.
So it's education, isn't it, Emma? Education.
Yeah, education's a part of that, yes.
And trusting each other.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Just curiously, if I'm riding an unroadworthy car, I'll get pulled over, they'll put a canary and I'm out of action.
Yeah.
Is there any prerequisites for your cyclists?
Yeah, well, police, I mean, you get bike police in the city now quite a lot and, you know, they do pull over riders. So if they see that the riders are displaying bad behaviour, such as, you know, running red lights, you know, just like cars, then they will pull them over.
What about unroadworthy bikes?
Bikes without bells, lights, reflectors.
Yeah, no, they definitely will. I mean,
bow ties.
It's important that, you know, bikes meet the legal requirements as well, and that does include, you know, having a bell and having lights in dim and dark conditions and, you know, brakes and all that type of stuff.
Emma, having a transport accident lawyer on board helps. Don, what are the three key areas where cyclists would be covered in circumstances where they come to grief?
If a transport accident, Tony, so involved with a motor vehicle, an accident, car door opening, covered by TAC. If it's an obstacle, hazard on the road, something left on the road, it will be a public liability potential claim, insurance claim against the council, whoever's responsible for that part. And maybe even work cover, Tony, because these days we see a lot of couriers around the city on push bikes.
That's it.
So if they're hurt during the course of employment, they've got work cover entitlements.
That gives you some comfort, doesn't it, Emma?
Yeah, it does help. But, you know, as our members, if they, you know, it's important that all bike riders are members because they are supported, you know, with insurance as well, which covers them for third-party property and injuries as well. And, you know, we can help support them with their TAC claims and other liability claims and property damage claims as well.
I guess my biggest concern is making sure that we prevent as much as possible serious injuries. Let's be realistic, guys. We're not going to be able to stop these minor ones happening where someone comes off a bike and probably fractures an elbow or something like that, but we do want to avoid quadriplegics and really nasty leg injuries and things like that. Is that a fair comment, Emma?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely about prevention over cure.
And it's also, you know, we talk about cyclists and also motorcyclists.
Well, that's right.
You know, they're very hard to see on the road. I mean, you've really got to display an enormous amount of caution. Your mirrors sometimes don't pick up a cyclist, so you've sometimes got to turn your head. These are key issues.
That's right.
In our roads.
Just reading up on Bicycle Network Victoria, you've got your own guidelines as what to do following an accident, which I think is very helpful in any circumstances.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Did you want me to take you through
definitely,
take us through that.
Yeah, cool. So obviously if a rider has a crash, then, I mean, if they're severely injured, you'd hope that the people that saw the crash, so the witnesses, would call 000 straight away. Yeah. But if they're actually, you know, mobile and conscious after the accident, then it's important that they're prepared to act. So in saying that, I guess the first thing to do is to, you know, check that they're okay and get off the road. So if they are a bit injured, if they can ask witnesses to help get them off the road and their bike off the road so they're not, you know, in danger of more injuries.
Of course.
And not a hazard on the road as well.
Emma, it's interesting you say that because we want to discourage people striking cyclists and bolting because it's happened quite a bit.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
And for viewers, let me just say this. If you come to grief with a cyclist, don't take off because the presumption is you're at fault or criminally at fault. So you should really stop and render assistance because you'd be surprised how the law can really come down hard on you in those circumstances. Now, Don, do you want to give us... there was an interesting case of Wells in the Council of City of Greater Taree. Can you tell us?
It was a New South Wales case, I believe, where a cyclist was riding along a pathway and ran into a chained fence that was put across a pathway by the council. The cyclist had used that path many times, and it's just council, without warning, just put the sign out so he went straight into it. And sustained quite significant injuries, Tony.
Of significance, Emma, the chain hung low to the ground, immediately above a patch of new concrete. So the chain and the concrete sort of blended in. So the cyclist said he just couldn't see
Well,
the chain?
he couldn't see it. And I believe the pathway as well was where he had to divert his attention not only to what's in front, but what's around with shrubs and all those things as well. So he clearly couldn't see it. And that evidence was accepted by the courts. Tony said he just couldn't see it.
Well, the council was trying to say that there was an obvious risk, that if he was watching where he was going, he wouldn't have hit the chain. That's a bit far-fetched, don't you think?
Well, especially when, you know, if there's a chain so low and it's the same colour as the concrete, it is really hard to see, especially if you're cruising, you know, along, you know, even if you're leisurely riding, it can be hard to see. So they really should have put something, you know, a bit more...
Signs, maybe?
Yeah, signs or, you know, orange witches' hats or something just to make it stand out a little bit more.
Don, what happened in that case? What did the court award the plaintiff?
Look, I think the court awarded some of it was $114,000, but 83,000 of it was for income loss that was sustained by...
Which is a really small amount for pain and suffering.
It was. It was, but he did get back. Look, his loss wasn't demonstrable. I think he returned to work, so he couldn't put together a significant claim for income loss, Tony.
Don, I had a similar case that he's going back a while ago where a cyclist hit his head, come off a bike and he sustained brain damage. This case settled out of court for just under 400,000, so it's a lot more than this. Emma, if you could do anything to change what's currently going on in our society in terms of motorists and cyclists, what would you do?
It's not about motorists versus cyclists. It's really all about all road users being responsible for their actions and, you know, abiding by the law. And I think once that happens, you build trust and respect and harmony on the roads.
Is it fair to say that motorists have to get over the thing that there's 1,000,001 cyclists on the roads these days? Just learn to live with them? Make sure that you abide by the law, keep a proper lookout for them, they'll look out for you, and we share the roads in harmony.
Yeah, that's
Is that what you
exactly
want?
right.
Well, Tony, they no longer own the roads, the motorists. They've got to realise that there are cyclists on the road, there are pedestrians on the road. So they just cannot drive, as John Carantz will say, a dangerous weapon without having regard for who's around.
That's it. It's a really, really touchy subject, this. And your association, where does it want to go? What's it trying to achieve, Emma?
Well, as mentioned, it's all about the health of the community. So if the ideal goal would be that everyone's out riding their bike, but it's all about getting more people out there on the roads riding.
Well, most of your message is about health and safety, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly
You're trying to get
it,
people healthier, you're trying to make them more active, you're trying to keep cars off the road too, I presume?
Well, interestingly enough, a lot of riders are car drivers, so, you know, the more riders out there, the less congestion on the roads, and, you know, there's a lot of benefits for government and
Is there anything else you want to add, Doc?
environment.
No, I think that's right. I think everyone should look after their own safety, regardless if you're a cyclist or motorist. They should really have regard for it. And I'm glad to see the Bicycle Network Victoria does have a system of help for cyclists injured.
Great.
Emma, I'd love to thank you for coming on board. I'm sure the viewers love the show. So we've got to go to a sponsors break, so viewers, please stay tuned. We'll be back with Kathy's mailbag just after the break. Thank you.